There is an hour in the life of every man and woman where the world grows quiet, where the noise of the day retreats, where the stage of thought is left open for the commanding voice of the inner self. It is in this hour at the close of day that destiny is either shaped with power or squandered with weakness. The masses collapse into sleep carrying the debris of their emotions, their grievances, their petty irritations, and their scattered thoughts. But the few, the rare 1% who rise to greatness enter the night with discipline, clarity, and command over the theater of their own minds. Understand this truth. The mind is never idle. Whether you choose it or not, it works through the night. It magnifies the pictures you placed within it. It deepens the grooves of the habits you allowed. And it prepares the mood with which you will rise in the morning. If you retire in chaos, you awake in confusion. If you retire in anger, you awaken weakness. But if you retire with definiteness of purpose, with calm detachment, and with disciplined command of your thoughts, you awaken armed, focused, and unstoppable. Napoleon once said that the battlefield is won or lost before the armies meet. So it is with your life. The battle for tomorrow is won or lost tonight within the last thoughts you permit to rest upon your mind. This is the habit of the top 1%. They master the closing of the day, for they know that as the conscious mind rests, the subconscious continues to weave. And what it weaves will either be rope to bind you or wings to raise you. Detachment is the starting point. If you drag your emotions into bed, you carry chains into the workshop of your subconscious. The insult you refuse to release, the desire you let boil without direction, the fear you entertained until midnight, these are thieves of your creative force. He who cannot detach at will is a prisoner of every trivial disturbance. But he who commands detachment, who says, "This anger is not mine, I dismiss it. This fear is not mine, I dissolve it. This craving is not mine, I redirect it," that man lays his head upon the pillow like a king retiring to his throne room. Self-discipline is the builder. The great men of history, Carnegie, Edison, Rockefeller, Ford, did not leave the entry into night to chance. They treated it as sacred. They reviewed their definiteness of purpose. They gave direct orders to the subconscious mind through the power of autosuggestion. They repeated, with calm authority, the vision of what tomorrow must bring, as though they were generals delivering commands to an army, for the subconscious obeys. It cannot resist repetition. It cannot ignore definiteness. It cannot refuse the voice of calm conviction. And what is autosuggestion but the deliberate planting of seeds? The average man leaves his soil open to weeds. He allows gossip, resentment, and fear to fall into the ground of his mind. But the disciplined man plants only what he has chosen: prosperity, courage, resourcefulness, peace. He rehearses them at night. He waters them with faith. And in the morning, they sprout into inspired actions. Consider this principle. What you think about last, you become first. The last thought is the seed. The morning is the harvest. If you end your day in weakness, you begin your day in defeat. If you end your day with strength, you begin your day in triumph. This is why the top 1% treat the final hour as the governor of destiny. They do not entertain trivial chatter. They do not scroll endlessly through devices. They withdraw into silence, reflection, and command. Now, let us define the law of mental neutrality. It is the ability to place yourself in a state of calm detachment, where neither praise nor insult can penetrate your inner balance. Before sleep, the disciplined man reviews his day without self-condemnation, without self-indulgence, but with the clear eyes of accurate thinking. He notes the errors, not as wounds, but as lessons. He notes the victories, not as vanity, but as proof of method. He accepts both as materials. Then he releases them, refusing to carry either pride or shame into the night. For what matters is not what was, but what is being built. To live by this law is to command your future. For your subconscious, once freed from the weight of emotional disturbance, becomes a builder of precision. It constructs ideas, organizes plans, reveals solutions while you sleep. It does not rest, it does not tire. It only follows the orders you left at the gates of night. Therefore, I tell you, treat the hour before sleep as the council chamber of kings. Bring before it only the noblest of thoughts, the clearest of intentions, the calmest of spirits. Give thanks for your power to choose. Command your mind to dwell upon your definiteness of purpose. Speak with authority to your inner self. For when you rise, you will discover that your night has been a servant to your success. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is power restrained, energy mastered, fire contained within steel. The man who is calm is the man who has learned the rarest of arts, to own himself. He cannot be bribed by flattery, nor provoked by insult, nor shaken by fear. He is like a fortress upon a hill, unshaken by the winds that break upon its walls. The multitudes confuse excitement with strength, noise with confidence, agitation with passion. But true strength is silent, steady, immovable. A calm man governs kings, commands armies, and builds empires because he cannot be moved off course. When you approach the end of the day, calmness must be your shield. If you enter sleep in agitation, your subconscious becomes a mirror of storms, tossing and scattering energy with no direction. But if you enter sleep in calmness, your subconscious becomes a fertile valley, open to receive the seeds of purpose. Calmness is the condition upon which the creative forces of the mind are unlocked, for it is not in turbulence but in still waters that reflection is clear. Think of the mountain lake, undisturbed, mirroring the heavens with precision. Such is the mind. In calm detachment, it reflects truth without distortion. This is why the wise discipline themselves to end the day, not with noise, not with argument, not with indulgence, but with silence and ordered thought. They quiet the body, regulate the breath, and command the mind to stand in stillness. In that silence, the voice of purpose is heard more clearly than at any hour of the day. The calm man is a master of response. The reactive man is a slave to stimulus. The world shouts, and the reactive man shouts back. The world mocks, and he burns in anger. The world tempts, and he yields. He is a puppet, pulled by every string. But the calm man sees, understands, and chooses. He pauses between stimulus and action. He creates space, and in that space lies his freedom. It is here that the law of mastery over emotion reveals itself. He who controls his response controls his destiny. Now we arrive at the principle of thought first. This principle is simple, yet it governs empires. Everything is created twice, first in thought, then in form. The house you dwell in, the wealth you desire, the empire you wish to build, each began first as a picture in the mind of a man who dared to think it, who held it, who disciplined himself to clothe it in form. But mark this truth: thoughts born in agitation create chaos. Thoughts born in detachment create order. If you allow emotions to rule thought, you forfeit mastery. A man consumed with anger conceives only destruction. A man enslaved to fear imagines only defeat. A man drunk on desire imagines only vanity. But the man who detaches, who withdraws the emotional fog, who allows only accurate thinking to govern such a man, builds realities that endure. This is why the top 1% guard their thoughts at night. They know the subconscious is a ceaseless worker. It will continue the last thought placed before it. Thus, they command their last thoughts to be great, noble, purposeful. They repeat their definiteness of purpose with clarity. They visualize the picture of the achievement they demand. They release it into the workshop of the night. And when morning comes, the subconscious has worked tirelessly to weave plans, connections, and solutions to bring it forth. Remember this law: as a man retires, so shall he arise. If you sleep as a beggar in thought, you rise in poverty of spirit. If you sleep as a king in purpose, you rise with authority in action. This is not poetry, it is cause and effect. The law is exact, unfailing, eternal. Therefore, before your eyes close, detach yourself from the petty irritations of the day. Withdraw from quarrels, from resentments, from desires not aligned with your purpose. Calm your breath, still your mind. Then fix it upon the vision you have chosen with definiteness. Command your subconscious as a master commands his servant. Speak with faith, with conviction, with authority. Leave the night no option but to serve your destiny. The mind, when undisciplined, is like a field left open to every passing wind, every wandering seed. The weeds of resentment, the thorns of envy, the choking vines of fear, these grow quickly when the soil is left unguarded. But the disciplined mind, the neutral mind, is like cultivated ground. Only what the master chooses is allowed to take root. This is the essence of the law of mental neutrality, the power to step back, to stand as the witness, to refuse the slavery of immediate reaction. The average man reacts. He is insulted and burns with rage. He is praised and swells with vanity. He is criticized and collapses into doubt. His emotions whip him like a master lashes a beast of burden. But the man of neutrality does not surrender so easily. He sees the insult, but he does not become it. He hears the praise, but he does not bow before it. He registers the criticism, but he weighs it with accuracy rather than fear. He is the observer, not the victim. Neutrality is not indifference. Neutrality is mastery. Indifference is weakness, a refusal to care. Neutrality is strength, the ability to care wisely. To be neutral is to choose your response with deliberation, not to abandon feeling altogether. It is to say, I acknowledge this emotion, but I am not ruled by it. I feel this stirring, but I do not bow before it. I decide what meaning this carries. I decide what action follows. This law must be exercised at the close of every day. For if you carry emotional disturbances into the night, you surrender your subconscious to chaos. The disciplined man, before retiring, empties his mind of emotional clutter. He examines the day as a surgeon examines a specimen precisely, without sentiment. He says, here I erred, and I will adjust. Here I succeeded, and I will strengthen. Here I wasted time, and I will correct. Here I acted wisely, and I will repeat. He records the lessons, but he does not indulge in self-pity or vanity. Then he releases it all into neutrality. He becomes calm, detached, ready to plant only what he chooses in the soil of the night. Emotional detachment, therefore, is not a denial of life. It is the refinement of life. To detach is to take the sword of reason and cut away the fog of passion that blinds judgment. To detach is to refuse to let temporary storms dictate permanent decisions. To detach is to say, I will feel, but I will not be enslaved by feeling. I will think, but I will not be ruled by thought alone. I am the master who selects, who chooses, who directs. Think of the warrior before battle. His pulse may quicken, but his face is still. His heart may pound, but his grip on the sword is steady. He feels, but he is not consumed. He detaches from fear, from doubt, from distraction, and in that detachment he gains precision. So it is in life. If you would be unstoppable, you must detach. The world will hurl its chaos upon you, criticism, praise, rejection, temptation. But you must remain the immovable pillar, acting not from reactivity but from mastery. And what is mastery if not the deliberate ordering of thought? If you allow anger to lead, your actions will betray you. If you allow fear to lead, your destiny will shrink. If you allow craving to lead, you will trade your empire for a moment of indulgence. But if you detach, if you step back into neutrality, if you command your thoughts with discipline, then you choose action from power, not weakness. Every great leader, every titan of industry, every architect of history has known this law. They understood that emotion is a servant, never a master. They understood that detachment is the throne from which all wise command is given. They understood that neutrality is the balance point, the fulcrum from which destiny is moved. And you, if you would belong to the 1% who rise, who command, who shape rather than are shaped, you must master this law. You must practice it every night. Do not go to sleep intoxicated with anger. Do not go to sleep poisoned with resentment. Do not go to sleep distracted by vain indulgence. Enter neutrality. Enter calmness. Enter command. Only then will your subconscious serve you as an architect rather than betray you as a saboteur. The subconscious mind is the hidden workshop of destiny. It is the silent builder, the unseen servant, the eternal scribe that records every thought, every word, every belief impressed upon it. It does not sleep, it does not argue, it does not question, it obeys. Whether you command it wisely or recklessly, it executes without resistance. This is why the wise man takes hold of the principle of autosuggestion, the deliberate planting of thoughts, while the average man allows his mind to be filled by accident, by gossip, by fear, by the noise of the world. Autosuggestion is the habit of the 1%. It is the ritual of the conquerors. It is the nightly council at which the master gives orders to his most loyal servant. Every thought spoken with authority, every vision impressed with clarity, every affirmation repeated with faith becomes a law to the subconscious. And once written in its ledger, it begins to translate into action, into opportunity, into circumstance. Hear this clearly. If you do not give orders to your subconscious, someone else will. The advertisements you see, the conversations you hear, the fears you entertain, the opinions you absorb, these are suggestions. And if you do not stand guard at the gateway of your mind, they become commands. Thus, the masses, unaware of this law, become slaves to the suggestions of others. They repeat what they hear, they live what they fear, they suffer what they imagine. But the disciplined man seizes control. Before sleep, he reviews his definiteness of purpose. He states it aloud. He repeats it in the silence of his mind until it vibrates through every fiber of his being. He impresses it as though engraving it upon stone. He sees the picture not faintly but vividly. He feels the reality of it, not as a wish but as a certainty. He commands his subconscious with authority, as a general issues orders before sending his army into the night. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Yet the missing key is this: the mind must be fed deliberately with what it is to conceive and believe. Autosuggestion is that feeding. It is the deliberate act of placing conception and belief into the soil of the subconscious until it cannot resist sprouting into reality. Understand the power of repetition. The subconscious is not moved by idle words spoken once. It is moved by words repeated with faith, with emotion, with definiteness. Just as water dripping upon stone carves a channel, so repetition, dripping upon the subconscious, carves belief. And belief, once carved, dictates action. Now imagine the danger of careless suggestion. If you tell yourself you are weak, if you repeat it long enough, weakness will settle into your bones. If you tell yourself you are unlucky, your subconscious will blind you to opportunity. If you tell yourself you cannot, you will not. This is law. Cause and effect, exact and merciless. But reverse it, and the same law makes kings. Tell yourself you are strong and strength grows. Tell yourself you are resourceful and your mind unlocks hidden reservoirs. Tell yourself you are destined and your spirit begins to walk with authority. Night after night, impress this upon your mind before sleep, and the subconscious will labor to make it so. Think of Edison, who before retiring would turn his mind toward the problem he sought to solve. While he slept, his subconscious labored. He awoke with new ideas, new connections, new sparks of genius. Was it chance? No, it was law. He gave the order, and the subconscious obeyed. Think of Carnegie, who repeated his purpose until it became the marrow of his being. He did not drift into empire. He commanded his mind into empire. This is what you must do. Each night, stand as the master of your inner world. Silence your emotions. Calm your breath. Repeat your purpose with conviction. See your vision in detail. Speak it aloud if you must. Write it if words sharpen your will. Then release it to the subconscious as one releases an order to a trusted servant. Sleep knowing the work is being done not by chance but by law. For the subconscious will never betray you. It only mirrors what you impress upon it. If you plant weeds, it yields weeds. If you plant wheat, it yields harvest. If you plant greatness, it yields destiny. The principle is eternal, impartial, unfailing. There is no power on earth greater than a mind fixed upon one purpose. The scattered man is weak, though he may possess talent, intelligence, or even opportunity. His thoughts are divided, his energy leaks into countless directions, his actions contradict themselves. He is like a river broken into 1,000 trickles, each evaporating under the Sunday. But the man of definiteness of purpose gathers all his energy into one stream, directed with intensity, unstoppable in its course. Such a man cuts through stone, carves valleys, moves mountains. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all success. Without it, discipline cannot endure. Autosuggestion has no target, detachment becomes drift, and the subconscious labors without blueprint. With it, every principle of success aligns as soldiers in formation, each serving the same end. Purpose is the compass that directs the will, the anchor that steadies the ship, the star that guides through darkness. Mark this truth. The top 1% did not stumble upon greatness by accident. They chose a purpose, clear and unwavering, and they bound their lives to it. Carnegie declared he would spend the first half of his life earning wealth and the second half giving it away. He lived exactly as he commanded. Edison determined to harness electricity, and he bent his nights, his failures, his very body to that singular purpose. Ford vowed to build a car for the common man, and he defied ridicule, defeat, and the giants of industry until his vision stood in every household. What distinguished them was not merely intelligence, not merely opportunity, but definiteness of purpose. For millions possess intelligence and squander it on trivialities. Millions see opportunity and let it slip away through indecision. But the few, the rare few, fix their eyes on a chosen goal and they refuse distraction, they refuse defeat, they refuse dilution. Purpose is not found, it is created. The weak wait for destiny to reveal itself, drifting like leaves upon the wind. The strong select, decide, declare, this is my path, this is my aim, this is the mountain I will climb. And once declared, they bend every thought, every habit, every resource toward its attainment. The bedtime habit of the top 1% is incomplete without definiteness of purpose. What use is detachment if you have nothing to attach yourself to after release? What use is calmness if there is no vision to be planted in still waters? What use is autosuggestion if you suggest nothing clear? What use is subconscious labor if it has no blueprint to follow? Therefore, each night, the man of destiny revisits his purpose. He recites it as a general recites the terms of his campaign. He engraves it deeper into his subconscious with every repetition. He sees it in detail, feels it as real, accepts it as inevitable. And because he has chosen it with definiteness, every fiber of his being aligns in its direction. His thoughts cooperate, his actions converge, his subconscious labors with precision. He moves with unity of spirit, and the world bows before such unity. Napoleon Hill declared, "There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. Without that burning desire, there is no fuel. Without clarity, there is no direction. Without decision, there is no momentum. But with definiteness of purpose, even a modest man becomes mighty, for he knows where he is going and why. Purpose transforms detachment from emptiness into power. Purpose transforms discipline from denial into strength. Purpose transforms autosuggestion from words into prophecy. Purpose transforms the subconscious from a wandering servant into a tireless architect. If you would be among the top 1%, you must answer with ruthless honesty, what do I want? What am I willing to give my life for? What mountain will I climb, regardless of storms? Until you answer this, you drift. Once you answer, you command. And when the answer is clear, engrave it into your nightly ritual. Speak it before sleep. Visualize it with calm detachment. Impress it through repetition. Command your subconscious to labor upon it, for each night becomes a stepping stone, and each morning a march forward. The man of definiteness of purpose does not merely live, he advances. He does not merely exist, he conquers. Purpose is the seed, but without discipline it rots in the soil. Desire is the fire, but without discipline it burns out into smoke. Vision is the map, but without discipline it never becomes a journey. Discipline is the bridge between what you see in your mind and what you hold in your hand. It is the iron law that converts imagination into achievement. Without it, every dream is but a wish, every plan but a fantasy, every desire but a fleeting spark. With it, the impossible bends to your command. Self-discipline is the rarest and most valuable of human possessions. Men can inherit wealth, but they cannot inherit discipline. They can be given opportunity, but without discipline, they squander it. They can be blessed with intelligence, but without discipline, they betray it. Discipline is not granted by chance or gift. It is forged, it is chosen, it is built through will. The man of discipline is master over himself. He rises when the body protests. He speaks when fear tells him to remain silent. He acts when doubt whispers hesitation. He refuses indulgence when craving tempts him, and he denies weakness when comfort calls. He has trained his mind to obey his command, and he has trained his body to obey his mind. He does not wait for mood, for motivation, for inspiration. He acts by decision, not by feeling. The undisciplined man is ruled by impulses. He is slave to the swing of emotions, the tug of appetites, the drift of distraction. He postpones today, promises tomorrow, and wakes a year later unchanged. He carries his goals like ornaments admired but unused. He moves in circles, not in lines. He dissipates energy in pleasure, in fear, in excuses, until nothing remains. His life is a monument not to achievement but to wasted potential. But the disciplined man, he is a soldier of purpose. His nights and mornings are governed by ritual, not whim. He understands that freedom is not the absence of discipline, but the mastery of it. He knows that success is not built in moments of indulgence, but in hours of restraint. He endures today's pain for tomorrow's power. He denies himself today's weakness for tomorrow's strength. He builds habits as one lays bricks, day after day, until a fortress stands where once was only intention. Hill himself declared, "Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you do not control your thoughts, you cannot control your needs." Self-discipline calls for a balancing of the emotions of your heart with the reasoning faculty of your head. This balance is the mark of power. The man of discipline is not cold, he is controlled. He is not passionless, he is purposeful. His emotions do not vanish, they serve. And where does discipline reveal itself most powerfully? In the hour before sleep, for the undisciplined man spends his night in distraction, scrolling through trivialities, indulging in excess, letting fatigue master him. He stumbles into sleep with no command, no order, no intention. But the disciplined man treats the night as sacred. He silences noise, he dismisses indulgence, he withdraws into reflection, into purpose, into calmness. He repeats his definiteness of aim. He feeds his subconscious with chosen thoughts. He disciplines himself not to waste the golden hour of the day when destiny is most pliable. Discipline is the daily proof of seriousness. The man who says he desires wealth but cannot discipline his spending deceives himself. The man who says he desires health but cannot discipline his appetites betrays himself. The man who says he desires greatness but cannot discipline his time condemns himself. Words are wind. Discipline is truth. Each act of discipline, repeated, becomes habit. Each habit formed becomes character. Each character hardened becomes destiny. Discipline is the chain that forges them all. Therefore, if you would be among the top 1%, let discipline be your iron law. When fatigue whispers surrender, let discipline march forward. When craving demands indulgence, let discipline refuse. When doubt suggests delay, let discipline decide. Do not ask if it is easy, ask if it is worthy. Do not ask if you feel like it, ask if it is required. This is the creed of the disciplined. At night, discipline demands that you choose your thoughts with care. Discipline demands that you silence distractions. Discipline demands that you rehearse your purpose with precision. Discipline demands that you give orders to your subconscious with conviction. And because you obey discipline, discipline will reward you. It will transform thought into form, vision into reality, purpose into empire. If discipline is the bridge between vision and reality, accurate thinking is the guard stationed at every gate of that bridge. For what good is discipline if it marches in the wrong direction? What good is definiteness of purpose if it is pursued with false assumptions? What good is autosuggestion if it impresses error upon the subconscious? Without accuracy of thought, even the most disciplined life can become a monument to wasted effort. Accurate thinking is the royal guard of the mind. It is the ability to separate fact from opinion, truth from falsehood, signal from noise. It is the refusal to be swayed by rumor, by impulse, by hearsay, by wishful thinking. It demands proof. It demands clarity. It demands that every idea be weighed on the scales of reason before it is admitted into the treasury of belief. The undisciplined thinker fills his mind with untested ideas. He repeats what he hears, he accepts what he wishes, he believes what flatters his emotions. He does not question, he indulges. And so his mind becomes a house without guard, where thieves of doubt and liars of fear enter freely. He is rich in opinions, but bankrupt in truth. The man of accurate thinking, however, admits only what is tested, verified, and aligned with reality. He does not indulge every thought. He challenges them, questions them, examines their source, and weighs their consequences. He asks, is this true? Is this useful? Does this align with my purpose? And if the answer is no, he discards it as one discards a stone from the gold. Accurate thinking is not cold logic divorced from life. It is the compass that saves life from shipwreck. To think accurately is to see clearly. To see clearly is to act effectively. To act effectively is to succeed inevitably. The chain is unbreakable. Consider how many men fail, not for lack of purpose, not for lack of discipline, but for lack of accuracy. They invest in ventures based on rumor. They build upon foundations that crumble under scrutiny. They believe in promises never tested. They follow leaders who flatter rather than prove. They mistake noise for signal, emotion for truth, opinion for fact, and they wonder why their castles fall into dust. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Accurate thought involves two fundamentals. First, you must separate facts from mere information. Second, you must separate facts into two classes, important and unimportant. Here lies the essence of mastery. For the man of accurate thought not only discards falsehood, he also discards trivia. He knows that life is too short to weigh pebbles while diamonds lie in reach. He asks, does this fact advance my purpose or does it distract me? And in asking, he preserves his energy for what matters. The top 1% guard their minds with ruthless accuracy. They do not allow gossip to enter. They do not allow fear-mongering to dictate. They do not allow the opinions of the weak to poison their vision. They separate, they filter, they refine, until only what is true and useful remains. Then they act with certainty, for their decisions are grounded not in illusion but in fact. And here again, the bedtime habit reveals its power. For in the quiet hour before sleep, the mind replays the day. The accurate thinker reviews it not with emotion but with truth. He does not exaggerate his victories nor magnify his failures. He notes the facts. He records the lessons. He discards the irrelevant. He focuses on what matters. Then, having filtered, he feeds only truth into the subconscious. And the subconscious, fed with accuracy, becomes a weapon of precision. It labors not on fantasies, not on lies, not on illusions, but on facts aligned with purpose. It connects truths into strategies, organizes reality into opportunity, and builds plans that withstand the storms of circumstance. Therefore, I tell you, if you would be unstoppable, guard your mind as a king guards his throne. Admit no falsehood. Entertain no baseless fear. Accept no opinion without proof. Do not let emotions paint illusions as truths. Stand as the royal guard of your own thoughts. For he who controls the gateway of the mind controls the destiny of his life. Accurate thinking is the light that cuts through the fog of reactivity. It is the sword that slays the dragon of fear. It is the shield that blocks the arrows of deception. Without it, your mind is conquered. With it, you are unconquerable. The difference between a king and a slave is often revealed not in great battles, but in the smallest moments, moments where one chooses response or surrenders to reaction. Reaction is reflex, instinct, unguarded impulse. It is the child within, unchecked and untrained. Response is mastery, reflection, the deliberate command of the mature mind. One is weakness, the other is power. When insult strikes, the reactive man burns, lashes out, and betrays his own dignity. The master detached, considers, weighs, and chooses. When fear whispers, the reactive man retreats, surrendering his future to shadows. The master responds with courage, advancing, because principle demands it. When temptation beckons, the reactive man yields, forfeiting discipline for a fleeting indulgence. The master responds with control, aligning choice with purpose. This choice response versus reaction defines character, shapes destiny, and distinguishes the 99% from the 1%. Every night, as you lay your head upon the pillow, you must examine this question. Did I react like the masses, or did I respond like a master? The answer defines not only your day, but your future. And it is here in the stillness before sleep that mastery is sharpened. For as you review the events of your day, you must replay them not with shame or vanity, but with accuracy. You must say, here I reacted, I surrendered control, I will correct it. Or, here I responded, I ruled myself, I will repeat it. In this nightly audit, Emotional detachment is forged, and response becomes your default. Understand this law. He who governs his response governs his life. The world is chaos, but the master turns chaos into material for growth. The world is unpredictable, but the master transforms unpredictability into opportunity. Reaction is slavery to circumstance. Response is sovereignty over circumstance. The 1% do not rise because life spares them storms. They rise because storms cannot shake their command of response. They do not react to every gust of wind. They sail by the compass of purpose. They do not bow to every emotional tide. They navigate by the stars of principle. And what prepares them for this sovereignty? The bedtime ritual, the deliberate act of stilling the emotions, of detaching from the noise, of rehearsing purpose, of impressing the subconscious with command. Each night becomes a rehearsal for sovereignty. Each morning becomes a practice of response. And so we arrive at the final ascent. All principles converge here. Definiteness of purpose, self-discipline, autosuggestion, accurate thinking, mastery over emotion, the law of neutrality, the choice of response. They unite into one grand law. Command over the inner world creates mastery of the outer world. This is the secret of the 1%. They do not begin their day at dawn. They begin it the night before. They do not rise by chance. They rise by law. They treat the subconscious as a servant, the emotions as tools, the mind as a fortress, and purpose as king. They lay down at night, not as beggars of chance, but as generals giving orders, and they rise as conquerors, carrying with them the fruit of the night's labor. Now, I tell you, this power is not reserved for the few. It is not a gift of birth, of blood, or of fate. It is a choice, your choice. If you would master detachment, if you would build discipline, if you would command thought, if you would plant purpose, if you would train response, you must begin tonight. Not tomorrow, not when convenient, not when easy. Tonight. Before you sleep, dismiss the trivial, release resentment, silence indulgence, detach from the day's noise. Enter calmness as one enters sacred ground. Review your purpose, state it with clarity. Engrave it upon your mind with repetition. Command your subconscious to labor upon it. Fall asleep as a master, not a slave. And when you rise, rise as one who has already conquered. For destiny belongs not to the reactive, not to the indulgent, not to the undisciplined, but to the calm, the deliberate, the purposeful, the detached. Destiny belongs to those who master the night, and in mastering the night, master themselves. This is the bedtime habit of the top 1%. This is the ritual that makes them unstoppable. And if you will claim it as your own, if you will practice it with faith, with discipline, with relentless constancy, you will rise into their ranks. You will no longer drift among the many. You will command among the few. You will no longer beg for life to favor you. You will dictate to life the terms of your success. So I say to you, tonight begin. Tonight command. Tonight master the law. For the night is not the end of the day, it is the beginning of your destiny.